The night is still over the Nile. The river moves slowly through the darkness, carrying reflections of distant stars across its calm surface. Along the muddy banks, clusters of reeds whisper softly whenever a light breeze passes through them. Far beyond the water, where the land rises into dry golden earth, villages rest beneath the fading night sky. Most people are asleep. Inside simple mud brick homes, families lie on woven mats. The day's heat has finally left the walls. Cool air drifts through open doorways. Somewhere a dog shifts in its sleep. Somewhere a child murmurs softly before becoming quiet again. The ancient world feels peaceful at this hour. No markets are open. No workshops ring with the sound of tools. No merchants call from dusty streets. Even the birds remain silent. Only the Nile continues its endless journey. And among the sleeping villages, in a small home built from sun-dried bricks, a man slowly opens his eyes. His day begins before the sunrise. He is not a king. He is not a priest. His name will never be carved onto a temple wall. No grand statue will remember him. No scribe will spend expensive ink recording the details of his life. He is a water carrier. Every day he carries water to the workers building one of the great pyramids. The work is simple. The work is difficult. And the work never truly ends. For a few moments he remains still, listening to the darkness around him. His wife sleeps beside him. Near the opposite wall, his children rest quietly beneath a thin linen covering. The room smells faintly of dust, straw, and yesterday's bread. Outside, the world waits. Slowly he rises. His joints already feel stiff. Years of walking beneath the Egyptian sun have settled into his knees, his shoulders, and his back. Even after sleep, his body carries the memory of labor. He steps carefully across the packed earth floor. A small clay lamp sits nearby, its flame no larger than a flower petal. The soft light barely reaches the corners of the room. Everything appears gentle and quiet. He wraps a simple linen garment around himself and slips his feet into worn sandals. The sandals have been repaired many times. The leather is thin. The straps no longer match. Yet they remain useful. In a world where nearly everything requires effort to create, useful things are rarely thrown away. Outside, the village remains mostly dark. The eastern horizon holds only the faintest hint of gray. He walks toward a small storage area beside the house. There he checks the pottery jars he will carry later. The jars are large. Heavy. Their rough surfaces feel cool beneath his fingers. Soon they will be full. Soon they will feel much heavier. For now they wait in silence. A few other figures begin appearing throughout the village. Another worker opens a wooden door. A woman emerges to prepare bread. An elderly man walks slowly toward a small pen where goats sleep. No one speaks loudly. The day is beginning gently. The water carrier makes his way toward the river. The path is familiar. He has walked it thousands of times. His feet know every curve and every uneven stone. Even in darkness he rarely stumbles. The Nile lies ahead, broad and patient beneath the fading stars. As he approaches the riverbank, he can hear soft water touching mud. The sound is calm, steady, almost sleepy. For a moment he pauses. The cool air feels pleasant against his skin. Before the sun rises, Egypt belongs to a different world. The heat has not yet arrived. The dust remains settled. The sky feels wide and endless. Many workers treasure these moments. They are brief. But they offer relief before the long hours ahead. Nearby, Other villagers gather water for their own needs. Women fill household jars. Children carry smaller containers. A fisherman prepares a narrow boat. The river supports everyone. Without it, villages would disappear. Fields would dry. Animals would perish. Life itself would become impossible. The water carrier kneels near the edge. Carefully he fills the first jar. The water swirls softly inside. Then another jar. Then another. Each one becomes heavier. Each one represents many future steps beneath the sun. Soon the first faint light appears across the eastern horizon. The stars begin fading. Birds awaken among the reeds. The ancient world slowly opens its eyes. By sunrise, workers throughout the region are already moving. Farmers head toward fields. Potters prepare clay. Stone workers gather tools. Scribes organize tablets and writing materials. And far away, beyond the villages, the Great Pyramid rises from the desert. Even from a distance it commands attention. Its unfinished sides catch the first sunlight. Stone blocks form long sloping surfaces stretching toward the sky. Tiny figures move around its base. Workers. Hundreds of them. Perhaps thousands. Each person performing a task. Each task depending on another. The pyramid appears solid and eternal. Yet every stone reaches its place because ordinary people perform ordinary work. The water carrier joins the growing stream of laborers moving toward the construction site. Dust rises beneath countless sandals. The road becomes busy. Men carry tools. Others guide donkeys loaded with supplies. Groups exchange quiet conversation. Some still yawn from sleep. Others already look tired. The pyramid is not built by grand speeches. It is built by routines. The same routines repeated day after day. Season after season. Year after year. The water carrier understands this better than most. He knows how quickly thirst arrives beneath the desert sun. Without water, everything slows. Without water, workers become weak. Without water, progress stops. His task may seem simple. Yet many people depend upon it. The journey grows warmer as sunlight spreads across the land. Golden light touches fields near the river. Palm trees cast long shadows. The smell of damp earth slowly gives way to dry desert air. Ahead, the pyramid site becomes clearer. The sounds begin reaching him. Voices. Wooden sledges scraping earth. Stone striking stone. Commands shouted across work crews. The enormous project is already alive. When he arrives, workers are everywhere. Some haul limestone blocks. Some shape stone with copper tools. Others transport supplies. Teams move with practiced rhythm. Each person knows where to go. Each person understands their place. The water carrier moves toward a designated area where jars are stored and distributed. Other carriers have arrived as well. Together they form an invisible network that supports the entire operation. They fill containers. Replace empty jars. Walk between crews. Return for more water. Then repeat the process again. And again. And again. The morning remains pleasant for a little while longer. But everyone knows what is coming. The sun climbs steadily. The desert begins warming. Shadows shorten. The brightness becomes stronger. The first workers ask for water. The carrier lifts a jar. Already his shoulders feel the strain. Water is life. Water is also weight. The jar presses against his muscles. His sandals grind against dusty ground. He walks carefully. A spilled jar helps no one. He reaches a group of stone haulers. Their bodies already shine with sweat. Faces coated with dust turn toward him. Grateful hands reach for cups. The workers drink slowly. Some splash water across their necks. Others simply close their eyes for a brief moment. Relief. Only a small relief. But enough. Then the carrier continues onward. Another crew waits. Then another. Then another. The hours pass. The sun rises higher. The heat deepens. The work continues. Around midday the desert feels almost motionless. The air itself seems heavy. Heat shimmers above the ground. Stone surfaces become hot beneath the touch. Workers move more slowly. Not because they are lazy. Because the environment demands caution. Energy must be preserved. Strength must last until evening. The water carrier's tunic becomes damp with sweat. Dust sticks to his skin. His shoulders ache. His hands feel rough from pottery handles. Yet he keeps walking. The rhythm becomes almost hypnotic. Fill. Carry. Pour. Return. Fill. Carry. Pour. Return. There is comfort in routine. The mind begins following familiar paths. Thoughts drift slowly. The body works while attention wanders. Sometimes he thinks about his children. Sometimes about repairs needed at home. Sometimes about the coming harvest. Sometimes about nothing at all. Only footsteps. Only breathing. Only the distant sounds of labor. Nearby, scribes sit beneath shaded areas recording deliveries and supplies. Their work appears easier. Yet even they struggle with the heat. Ink dries quickly. Eyes grow tired. Everyone serves the project in different ways. The water carrier rarely speaks with scribes. Their lives are different. Still, they share the same sun. The same dust. The same long days. As afternoon approaches, workers receive simple meals. Bread. Onions. Perhaps fish. Perhaps dates. Food that provides strength without luxury. The water carrier sits briefly beneath a patch of shade. The shade is small. Many workers crowd beneath it. No one complains. Any relief is welcome. He eats slowly. The bread is coarse but filling. The onions are sharp. The water tastes better than anything else. For a few minutes, the world becomes quiet. Not silent. Never silent. But softer. The sounds of labor continue in the distance while workers rest aching muscles. Many stare toward the horizon. Some close their eyes. Others simply sit without speaking. Fatigue settles over everyone like a blanket. The heat encourages stillness. Even conversation feels like effort. Eventually the break ends. People rise. Stretch. Return to their tasks. The water carrier stands carefully. His knees protest. His back feels stiff. The second half of the day awaits. And so he begins walking once more beneath the endless Egyptian sky. The pyramid remains above everything. Watching. Growing. Stone by stone. While beneath its shadow, ordinary people continue their quiet routines, carrying the weight of an extraordinary world. The afternoon sun hangs high above the desert. Its light falls across the construction site without mercy, covering stone, sand, and skin in the same bright glow. The air trembles above the ground. Far away, the horizon seems to waver like water. The water carrier continues his steady path through the maze of workers. His pace is not fast. No one moves quickly now. The hottest hours of the day belong to endurance rather than speed. Each step sends a small cloud of dust around his sandals. The ground beneath him has been walked by thousands of feet. Paths have formed naturally between storage areas, workshops, ramps, and gathering places. Over time these routes have become as familiar as village streets. The water carrier knows them all. He knows where the stone cutters work. He knows where the sled teams pause to rest. He knows which crews consume the most water and which supervisors insist on keeping spare jars nearby. Years of repetition have quietly turned this knowledge into instinct. A worker calls for water. The carrier changes direction. A moment later another crew signals from farther away. The routine continues. The Great Pyramid dominates everything around it. Yet from the ground, among the workers, it does not always feel like a single structure. It feels like many smaller worlds joined together. One area is filled with stone dust. Another smells of wood and rope. One section echoes with hammering. Another remains surprisingly quiet. Everywhere, people work. Not as nameless figures, but as individuals carrying their own worries, hopes, aches, and responsibilities. A young stone worker wipes sweat from his eyes. An older laborer rubs his shoulder while waiting for a sledge to arrive. A cook tends a fire beneath a shelter. A scribe carefully brushes dust from a writing surface. A boy delivers tools from one area to another. The pyramid depends on all of them. The water carrier notices these things without thinking much about them. After enough years, people become part of the landscape. Not in a cold way. In a familiar way. Like trees beside a river path. Like houses in a village. Like stars appearing in the same places each night. The faces change slowly over time. Some workers leave. Some grow old. New workers arrive. The routine continues. A warm wind drifts across the site. For a moment it feels pleasant. Then it lifts loose sand into the air. Workers squint. A few pull cloth over their mouths. The gust passes. The work remains. By late afternoon, shadows begin to lengthen slightly. The change is small. Almost impossible to notice at first. Yet everyone senses it. The worst heat is slowly losing its grip. Energy begins returning. Conversations become more common. Voices travel farther across the work areas. The water carrier reaches a group hauling limestone blocks. The men lean heavily against a resting sledge. Their faces are red from effort. Dust covers their hair, arms, and clothing. One man accepts a cup of water with both hands. He drinks slowly. Not wasting a single drop. Water is precious. Everyone understands this. The Nile may seem endless, but carrying its water requires labor. Every cup has a journey behind it. Every sip represents many footsteps. The workers know this. They nod their thanks. The carrier nods back. Few words are needed. Nearby, another crew begins preparing for the final tasks of the day. Ropes are checked. Tools are gathered. Stone surfaces are inspected. Supervisors move among the workers, discussing plans for tomorrow. Even while one day ends, another is already being prepared. This rhythm shapes life throughout Egypt. The seasons change. Floodwaters rise and fall. Harvests come and go. Children grow older. Yet routines continue. Most people spend their lives inside these rhythms. There is comfort in that. Predictability can be a quiet kind of peace. The water carrier reaches the edge of the site where temporary shelters provide shade. Some workers have already begun cleaning tools. Others sit quietly. The smell of sweat mixes with stone dust, dry earth, and cooking fires beginning to awaken for the evening meal. The scent of food drifts through the air. Nothing elaborate. Simple meals. Yet after a long day of labor, even simple food can feel deeply satisfying. The carrier pauses near a storage area. His shoulders ache more now. The weight he has carried throughout the day has settled into every muscle. He stretches slowly. His back cracks softly. Nearby, another carrier does the same. Neither man speaks. The shared experience requires no explanation. The sun continues its gradual descent. Golden light replaces the harsh white brightness of midday. The pyramid changes color. Its stone surfaces glow warmly. Long shadows spread across the desert floor. For a brief period each evening, the construction site becomes beautiful in a different way. Not because the labor disappears, but because the light softens everything. Edges become gentler. Movements become slower. The day begins releasing its hold. The water carrier makes several final trips. The demand for water decreases. Workers prepare to leave. Some remain behind to organize supplies. Others begin the journey toward nearby settlements. The carrier empties his last jar. A crew of stone cutters drinks gratefully. One man pours a small amount over his hands and face. The water darkens the dust for a moment before disappearing. Then the workday is done. Not completely. There is always some task remaining somewhere. But for most laborers, the long hours beneath the sun have ended. Groups begin moving away from the pyramid. The road home fills with tired people. Sandals scrape against packed earth. Conversations rise and fall. Some workers discuss families waiting at home. Others talk about crops. Some say very little. Fatigue often prefers silence. The water carrier joins the slow stream of returning laborers. His empty jars feel wonderfully light. Even so, exhaustion rests heavily on him. The body knows when it has worked hard. The shoulders sag. The steps shorten. The mind becomes quieter. As he walks, the desert changes around him. The heat begins fading. A cooler breeze arrives from the direction of the Nile. Birds move through the evening sky. Far away, cattle are being guided home. The world shifts from labor toward rest. This transition happens every day. Yet it never feels unimportant. After hours of effort, evening becomes something precious. The carrier passes cultivated fields near the river. Farmers are completing their own tasks. Water channels reflect the low sunlight. Green plants sway gently in the breeze. Compared to the desert, the fields seem almost miraculous. Life emerging from dry earth. Growth sustained by the river. The Nile remains at the center of everything. Without it, the pyramid would not exist. The villages would not exist. The workers themselves would not be here. Even now, as the sun lowers toward the horizon, the river continues its quiet journey through the land. The carrier reaches the village shortly before sunset. Children play between houses. Women prepare evening meals. Elderly villagers sit outside doorways enjoying the cooler air. Smoke rises from cooking fires. The smell of baking bread drifts through the settlement. It is one of the most comforting smells in the world. Warm. Familiar. Steady. The water carrier slows his pace. Home is close now. The tension of the workday begins slipping away. Not completely. Tomorrow will bring more labor. Another sunrise. Another journey. Another series of heavy jars. Yet those concerns belong to another day. Tonight belongs to rest. He reaches his house. The mud brick walls glow softly beneath the evening light. A child spots him first. Small feet hurry across the ground. The carrier smiles. The fatigue remains. But something inside him becomes lighter. Home has its own kind of strength. His wife stands near the doorway. Bread cools nearby. A clay pot simmers gently over a fire. The smell is simple and wonderful. For a few moments no one discusses work. No one discusses problems. The family simply enjoys being together. These quiet moments matter. Perhaps more than grand monuments. Perhaps more than the names of kings. Histories often remember rulers. Yet countless ordinary evenings like this filled the ancient world. Families sharing meals. Children telling stories. Parents listening. Lamps glowing softly after sunset. The water carrier washes away some of the day's dust. Cool water touches his face. The sensation feels refreshing beyond words. Dust disappears into the earth. The aches remain. But cleanliness itself feels like a gift. Soon the family gathers for supper. The meal is modest. Bread. Vegetables. Perhaps a little fish. The food is not luxurious. Yet it is enough. Hunger makes simple meals satisfying. The family eats slowly. Outside, darkness deepens. The sounds of the village soften. Conversations drift through the evening air. Somewhere a baby cries briefly. Somewhere neighbors share news. Somewhere laughter rises before fading into silence. The ancient village settles into night. After the meal, the carrier sits outside his home. The air has become pleasant. The heat of the day is finally gone. Above him, stars begin appearing one by one. The same stars his grandparents knew. The same stars his children will someday watch. The sky feels endless. Peaceful. Patient. He looks toward the distant silhouette of the pyramid. Even from here it can be seen against the fading light. A giant shape resting between earth and sky. Tomorrow he will return there. Tomorrow he will carry water again. Tomorrow the routine will continue. Yet tonight the monument seems far away. The responsibilities seem distant. The night asks nothing from him. He listens to the sounds of the village. A goat shifting in its pen. The rustle of palm leaves. The faint whisper of wind moving across rooftops. The gentle rhythm of ordinary life. Slowly more lamps go dark. Families prepare for sleep. Children grow quiet. The stars brighten overhead. The water carrier feels his eyelids becoming heavy. The day's labor has taken its toll. Fatigue settles comfortably across his body. Not painful. Simply present. Like a blanket laid gently over tired muscles. Eventually he rises. Inside the house, the small lamp flickers. His children are already asleep. Their breathing fills the room with a quiet rhythm. He lies down beside his family. The woven mat feels welcoming. Outside, the Nile continues flowing through the darkness. Beyond the river, fields rest beneath the stars. Beyond the fields, the pyramid stands silent in the night. And within a humble mud brick home, a water carrier closes his eyes, allowing the ancient world to grow still around him as another peaceful Egyptian night settles over the land. Long before the first light touches the horizon, the village rests beneath a sky full of stars. The night feels deep and quiet. A cool breeze drifts slowly from the Nile, moving between mud-brick homes and narrow paths worn smooth by generations of footsteps. Palm leaves sway gently overhead. Somewhere in the darkness, water laps softly against a riverbank. Inside his home, the water carrier sleeps. His breathing is slow. His muscles remain heavy from the previous day. The labor has settled deep into his body, lingering even through the hours of rest. Yet sleep brings relief. For a few precious hours, there are no jars to lift, no dusty roads to follow, no endless trips beneath the desert sun. Only darkness. Only silence. Only dreams that drift like clouds across the sleeping mind. The village remains still. Families sleep close together. Children curl beneath linen coverings. Elderly grandparents rest near walls that still hold a little warmth from the previous day. The night belongs to everyone equally. Farmers, builders, fishermen, potters, scribes, servants. The darkness covers all of them in the same gentle calm. Beyond the village, the Nile continues moving through the ancient landscape. The river never truly rests. Its waters travel steadily northward beneath moonlight and stars. For thousands of years it has followed the same path. Villages rise beside it. Generations come and go. Yet the river remains. Patient. Reliable. Eternal. At last, a faint gray line appears in the east. Morning approaches once more. The stars begin their slow retreat. The cool darkness starts to soften. A bird calls from somewhere among the reeds. Another answers. The first sounds of a new day quietly enter the world. The water carrier stirs. His eyes open. For a moment he remains still. The room is dim. The shapes around him are familiar. The outline of a storage basket. The curve of a pottery jar. The sleeping forms of his family. Nothing has changed. And somehow that feels comforting. Routine forms the structure of his life. Each day resembles the one before it. Yet every sunrise still feels important. Each morning offers another chance to work. Another chance to provide for those he loves. He sits up slowly. The stiffness returns immediately. His shoulders ache. His back complains softly. The soreness is familiar enough that he barely notices it anymore. Like the sound of distant birds. Like the feel of sandals beneath his feet. Like the smell of dust after a dry wind. These things simply belong to life. Outside, the sky grows brighter. The village begins awakening. A door opens nearby. Footsteps cross packed earth. Someone feeds animals. Someone else begins grinding grain. The sounds remain soft. No one rushes. The day unfolds gradually. His wife rises soon after. Together they move through the familiar rhythm of early morning. A small fire is prepared. Flat bread from the previous day is shared. A little water is poured into cups. The meal is simple. It always is. Yet the quiet companionship matters more than the food itself. For a few moments they sit together before the demands of the day pull everyone in different directions. The children remain asleep. Soon they too will wake. Soon the house will fill with movement and conversation. But for now, the dawn belongs to the adults. Outside, the eastern sky glows pale gold. The world feels fresh. Clean. Untouched by heat. The water carrier steps into the cool morning air. He pauses briefly. Many mornings he does this. Not because he has extra time, but because the moment deserves attention. The hours before sunrise are among the most peaceful in Egypt. The desert remains quiet. The fields are still. Even the river seems to move more gently. He breathes deeply. The air smells faintly of wet earth from irrigation channels near the Nile. Mixed with it comes the scent of straw, clay, and distant cooking fires. These smells form the background of daily life. They are ordinary. Yet they create a sense of home stronger than any monument. The carrier walks toward the river. The path is becoming busy now. Other villagers move through the growing light. A fisherman carries nets across one shoulder. A woman balances an empty jar against her hip. Two boys hurry toward a field where animals wait. Everyone has somewhere to be. Everyone has work to do. The riverbank welcomes them all. The Nile reflects the brightening sky. Its surface shifts gently beneath the morning breeze. The water carrier kneels beside the edge. The coolness feels pleasant against his hands. Carefully he fills the first jar. The water swirls softly. Tiny ripples spread across the surface. Then another jar. Then another. The process is repetitive. Yet there is something peaceful about repetition. Each movement follows the last. Each task has a purpose. The world feels orderly, predictable, stable. Nearby, fishermen prepare their boats. Long narrow vessels rest partially in the water. Wood creaks softly. Ropes tighten. Voices remain low. The day has only just begun. One fisherman pushes away from shore. The boat glides smoothly into the river. For a moment the scene feels timeless. Water. Sky. Reeds. Boats. The same sights have greeted countless mornings. The same sights will greet countless mornings still to come. The carrier finishes filling his jars. The weight settles onto his shoulders. The familiar burden returns. He adjusts his grip. Straightens his back. Begins walking. The road toward the pyramid stretches ahead. Already groups of workers travel the same direction. The construction site lies far enough away to require effort, yet close enough that the journey has become routine. The road itself feels almost alive. Every day it carries streams of laborers across the landscape. Builders. Stone haulers. Tool makers. Supervisors. Water carriers. People from different villages. People from different families. People united by work. The sun rises slowly behind them. Golden light spreads across the desert. Long shadows stretch across the ground. The morning remains pleasant. No one wastes energy speaking loudly. Most conversations stay quiet. Gentle. Half awake. A man discusses crops with his neighbor. Another talks about repairing a roof before the next season. Two workers share concerns about aging parents. Ordinary lives continue beneath the shadow of extraordinary projects. The water carrier listens occasionally. Sometimes he joins the conversations. Sometimes he simply walks. His thoughts drift elsewhere. Toward his children. Toward the future. Toward simple concerns that fill the minds of ordinary people. Will the harvest be good? Will the family remain healthy? Will enough grain be stored for difficult times? These questions matter far more to him than royal ceremonies or distant politics. The road gradually becomes busier. More workers join from surrounding villages. Dust rises beneath thousands of sandals. The sound is soft but constant. A dry whisper moving across the earth. Ahead, the pyramid slowly grows larger. Its shape emerges clearly against the morning sky. Even after years of seeing it, the sight remains impressive. Not because it is grand, though it certainly is, but because it represents endless human effort. Every stone required labor. Every ramp required labor. Every tool required labor. Everything visible before him exists because ordinary people perform difficult work day after day. The carrier reaches the site shortly after sunrise. The construction areas are already active. Workers move in every direction. Ropes tighten. Tools strike stone. Supervisors call instructions. The great machine of labor awakens once more. And as always, water must arrive where it is needed. The carrier begins immediately. There is no dramatic beginning. No ceremony. No announcement. Simply work. The first crew receives water. Then another. Then another. The morning passes through a steady rhythm of movement. Walking. Lifting. Pouring. Returning. Dust gathers once again on his feet. Sweat slowly appears along his forehead. The cool comfort of dawn begins fading beneath the strengthening sun. Around him, countless other routines unfold. Stonecutters shape blocks with careful precision. Woodworkers repair sledges. Laborers organize materials. Scribes record deliveries. Cooks prepare food for later meals. Every task supports another task. The pyramid grows because all these routines connect together like threads in a woven cloth. No single worker sees the entire pattern. Each person contributes only a small piece. Yet together they create something immense. As the morning continues, the water carrier passes a group of younger workers. Many are new. Their movements still reveal inexperience. Their shoulders tire quickly. Their hands develop fresh blisters. The carrier recognizes these signs immediately. He remembers his own early years. The body eventually adapts. Not completely. The work never becomes easy. But muscles learn. Balance improves. Endurance grows. Experience teaches patience. The young workers will learn these lessons too. Given enough time. The carrier delivers another jar. Then another. The sun climbs higher. The desert brightens. The day unfolds exactly as countless days have unfolded before. And beneath the vast Egyptian sky, among dust, stone, sunlight, and sweat, the quiet routine continues, steady and unhurried, carrying the rhythm of ordinary life through another ancient morning. The morning slowly deepens. The sun continues its climb above the eastern horizon, and the coolness that greeted the workers at dawn begins to fade. Shadows shorten across the construction grounds. The stone surfaces absorb the growing warmth. Dust hangs in the air a little longer after each passing footstep. The water carrier walks steadily between work crews. The rhythm has already settled into his body. Lift. Walk. Pour. Return. The movements require little thought now. Years of repetition have shaped every motion. His hands know exactly how to grip a jar. His shoulders know how to balance the weight. His feet know where to step across uneven ground. There is comfort in such familiarity. Many parts of life are uncertain. Floods can arrive stronger than expected. Harvests can fail. Illness can appear without warning. But routine offers something dependable. Routine creates order. The water carrier follows a path that curves around a large storage area filled with limestone blocks. The stones rest in neat rows. Some have already been shaped. Others still wait for skilled hands to prepare them. In the morning light, their pale surfaces glow softly. A group of stone workers sits nearby, taking a brief pause before returning to labor. They drink water quietly. One man removes his sandals and rubs his tired feet. Another stretches his arms overhead. The carrier notices these small moments. Everyone here understands fatigue. No one needs to explain it. A younger worker smiles as he accepts a cup of water. His face is still round with youth. Perhaps he has only recently joined the workforce. Perhaps this is his first season at the pyramid. The carrier remembers those early years. At that age, energy seemed endless. Muscles recovered quickly. Long days felt shorter. The future stretched far ahead. Now, after many seasons beneath the Egyptian sun, he understands time differently. Years pass quietly. Not all at once. Not with great announcements. One day follows another. Then another. Then another. Children grow taller. Hair grows gray. The body changes. Life moves forward with the same steady pace as the Nile. A warm breeze drifts across the site. For a brief moment it carries the scent of the river. The smell is faint. Almost impossible to notice. Yet it reminds the carrier of home. Of reeds swaying near the banks. Of fishermen launching boats before sunrise. Of evenings spent listening to water moving through darkness. The thought stays with him as he continues walking. The pyramid site can feel far from the gentle world of the river. Here there is dust. Stone. Noise. Effort. Yet everything depends upon the Nile. Every loaf of bread. Every worker's meal. Every drop of drinking water. The river supports them all. As the morning progresses, the work site becomes busier. New deliveries arrive. Donkeys carry supplies. Workers move tools from one section to another. Supervisors discuss plans for the coming days. The sounds blend together into a constant background hum. Hammering. Footsteps. Voices. Rope creaking against wood. Stone scraping across earth. None of it feels harsh. Not after years of hearing it. The sounds have become part of daily life. Like birdsong in a village. Like water flowing past reeds. The carrier approaches an area where stone blocks are being prepared for transport. The workers here labor with careful concentration. Mistakes create extra work. Precision matters. One man wipes sweat from his brow and accepts a drink gratefully. The water disappears almost immediately. The heat is growing stronger now. Every worker feels it. The sun has a way of reaching into every corner of the day. As the hours pass, conversations become shorter. People conserve energy. Breathing grows heavier. Movements become more deliberate. The water carrier understands this pattern well. Every day follows a similar path. The morning begins gently. The heat rises steadily. The afternoon demands endurance. Then evening brings relief. A cycle repeated countless times. Nearby, a scribe sits beneath a shaded shelter. His work differs greatly from that of the laborers. Instead of carrying stone or water, he carries information. His writing tools rest neatly beside him. His posture remains careful. Precise. The carrier watches him briefly while passing. Different work. Different responsibilities. Yet both men spend their days serving the same project. The thought feels strangely comforting. Egypt is filled with people performing different tasks. Farmers plant grain. Potters shape clay. Builders raise walls. Fishermen cast nets. Merchants transport goods. Every role supports another. The great kingdom functions because ordinary people fulfill ordinary duties. The carrier continues onward. Another crew waits. Then another. Then another. The sun climbs higher. By late morning, the brightness becomes almost overwhelming. Stone surfaces reflect light in every direction. Workers narrow their eyes against the glare. Dust coats exposed skin. Sweat leaves pale tracks across faces. The carrier pauses beside a storage area and carefully lowers a jar to the ground. His shoulders welcome the brief relief. Nearby, several workers rest beneath a simple shelter made from poles and woven material. The shade is thin. But even thin shade feels valuable. One man sits with his back against a wooden support. His eyes are closed. Not asleep. Simply resting. Gathering strength. The carrier understands. Sometimes the body asks for stillness. Even a few moments can make a difference. Soon he lifts the jar again. The work continues. A flock of birds passes overhead. Their shadows move briefly across the ground before disappearing. Several workers glance upward. For a moment, attention shifts away from labor. Then the birds are gone. The stone remains. The jars remain. The tasks remain. The day moves forward. Around midday, the heat reaches its peak. The air itself seems heavier. The horizon shimmers. The desert beyond the construction site appears almost dreamlike beneath the blazing sun. Many workers move more slowly now. Not because they lack determination. Because wisdom teaches caution. The body must last through the entire day. Strength must be managed carefully. The water carrier feels the heat pressing against him from every direction. His clothing sticks lightly to his skin. His throat feels dry despite the water around him. Yet he continues. One step. Then another. The rhythm carries him forward. Nearby, cooks begin preparing the midday meal. The scent arrives before the food itself. Bread. Grain. Perhaps onions. Perhaps fish. Simple foods that have sustained generations. The smell drifts through the worksite. Workers notice immediately. Even tired faces brighten slightly. Hunger grows throughout the morning. The promise of food offers encouragement. Eventually the meal break arrives. Workers gather in small groups. Some sit beneath shelters. Others find narrow strips of shade beside walls or storage areas. The water carrier joins a familiar group. Men he has known for years. Some younger. Some older. Faces weathered by labor and sunlight. The conversations remain gentle. No one speaks loudly. The heat discourages unnecessary effort. One man discusses repairs needed at home. Another mentions his daughter's upcoming marriage. A third wonders whether this year's flood will be generous. The topics are ordinary. Yet they feel important. Life is built from ordinary concerns. The carrier listens while eating. The bread is coarse. The onions sharp. The meal simple. And somehow completely satisfying. A cool drink of water follows. The sensation feels wonderful. For a few minutes, the world slows. Workers rest aching muscles. The noise of labor fades slightly. Even the wind seems quieter. The carrier leans back and watches the sky. It stretches endlessly above him. Bright blue. Clear. Without a cloud. The same sky his father watched. The same sky his grandfather knew. Generations pass beneath its gaze. The thought drifts through his mind like a lazy cloud. Then fades. Soon the break ends. Workers rise slowly. Some stretch stiff limbs. Others gather tools. The construction site begins moving once more. The great rhythm resumes. The carrier stands carefully. His knees feel stiff. His shoulders ache. Yet the brief rest has helped. He lifts another jar. Feels the familiar weight settle across his body. Then begins walking again. Across the vast worksite, countless other laborers return to their routines. Stonecutters return to stone. Scribes return to writing. Cooks return to fires. Supervisors return to planning. And the water carrier returns to the endless journey between river and worker, carrying the cool gift of the Nile beneath the growing afternoon sun while the Great Pyramid slowly rises, one ordinary day at a time. The afternoon settles over the pyramid grounds like a warm blanket of light. The meal break has ended. Workers return to their tasks. The sounds of labor slowly grow stronger again as tools meet stone, ropes tighten, and footsteps cross the dusty earth. The water carrier resumes his familiar route. His body feels heavy from the long morning. The rest helped, but only a little. The heat remains. The work remains. The day still has many hours left to give. He lifts a fresh jar and begins walking. The pottery presses against his shoulder. The weight is familiar. So familiar, in fact, that he can almost judge the amount of water remaining without looking inside. Years of carrying have taught him many small skills. Skills that would be difficult to explain. The balance of a jar. The safest path across loose sand. The signs that a worker is becoming dangerously exhausted. The best places to find shade during the hottest hours. Knowledge gathered slowly over countless ordinary days. The afternoon air shimmers above the desert floor. Far beyond the construction site, the land appears almost liquid beneath the heat. The horizon bends and dances. Shapes become uncertain. The world seems softer around the edges. The carrier has seen this many times. He pays little attention. The desert has its own ways. Its own moods. Its own quiet tricks of light. He approaches a team working near one of the great ramps. The labor here is difficult. Several men pull together on thick ropes. Others guide a stone block carefully forward. Every movement requires coordination. Every mistake creates more effort. The workers pause briefly when the water carrier arrives. Cups are filled. Hands reach eagerly. Faces brighten for a moment. The relief is immediate. Cool water against a dry throat. Few pleasures feel greater during a hot afternoon. The carrier watches as they drink. Then he continues onward. The rhythm never stops for long. Elsewhere, another crew waits. And another beyond that. The work site stretches across a vast area. At times it feels like a small city made entirely of labor. People move constantly. Supplies arrive and disappear. Tasks begin and end. Yet beneath all the movement lies a quiet order. Everyone understands their role. Everyone contributes something. The water carrier's role may seem small. Yet he knows what happens when water runs short. He has seen workers become weak. He has seen men struggle beneath the sun. Without water, the entire operation suffers. His work matters. Not in a grand way. Not in a way that earns praise from powerful people. but in a practical way. A necessary way. Many important things in life are like that. The sun continues its slow journey westward. The afternoon advances. Time passes differently during hard labor. The hours can feel long. Yet entire years seem to disappear. The carrier sometimes thinks about this while walking. When he first began this work, he had been little more than a young man. Now his oldest child is nearly grown. The seasons have passed one after another. Flood season. Planting season. Harvest season. Then back again. The rhythm never ends. The Nile rises. The Nile falls. Life continues. Nearby, a group of workers repairs a damaged wooden sledge. The smell of fresh cut wood drifts through the air. Wood is valuable in Egypt. Good timber is not always easy to obtain. Tools are repaired whenever possible. Nothing useful is wasted. The workers handle each piece carefully. The carrier watches briefly before moving on. Small acts of maintenance happen everywhere. Ropes repaired. Tools sharpened. Walls patched. Sandals mended. Life depends on constant care. Without attention, useful things slowly disappear. The same is true of people. Families require care. Friendships require care. Bodies require care. Even though labor consumes most of the day, people still find time to look after one another. The carrier thinks of his family. His wife preparing food. His children helping with small chores. The familiar sounds of home. Those thoughts help him through difficult hours. Many workers carry similar thoughts. A man hauling stone may be thinking about a sick child. A farmer may worry about crops. A fisherman may wonder whether tomorrow's catch will be good. The pyramid occupies much of their lives. Yet it is not the center of their hearts. Home holds that place. The afternoon wind shifts direction. For a moment it carries the scent of baking bread from temporary kitchens serving the workers. The smell is faint, yet instantly recognizable. Hunger stirs again. The carrier smiles slightly. There is comfort in familiar scents. Bread baking. River water. Fresh straw. Wood smoke. These simple things weave themselves into memory. Years later, a single smell can carry a person back through time. Though the carrier does not think of memory in such a way, he feels the comfort all the same. The afternoon slowly begins to soften. The sun remains hot, but something changes. The harsh intensity begins to fade. Shadows lengthen almost unnoticed. The color of the light grows warmer. Workers sense the change instinctively. The most difficult hours are passing. Energy begins returning. Voices grow a little stronger. Movements become slightly easier. The end of the workday remains distant. Yet it can finally be imagined. The carrier delivers water to a team of stonecutters. Their work creates a constant music of tapping sounds. Stone chips cover the ground around them. Fine white dust clings to their arms. One worker wipes his forehead and laughs quietly at something another man says. The moment lasts only a few seconds. Then the work continues. Such moments appear throughout the day. Brief sparks of human connection. Small reminders that life consists of more than labor. The carrier appreciates these moments. Everyone does. They help carry the burden. The afternoon sky remains perfectly clear. A hawk circles high overhead. Far above the noise and dust. Far above the concerns of workers. The bird drifts effortlessly on warm currents of air. Several men pause to watch. only for a moment. Then attention returns to the ground. The day's responsibilities wait for no one. The carrier continues his route. The jars grow lighter as water is distributed. Eventually he returns for refills. Again and again. The repetition becomes almost meditative. His feet follow familiar paths. His breathing settles into a steady rhythm. His thoughts wander gently. Sometimes he notices tiny details. A lizard resting on a warm stone. A feather caught in the dust. The pattern left by sandals crossing soft earth. Simple observations. Nothing important. Yet somehow pleasant. The world reveals itself through small things. As the afternoon advances, the light turns golden. The pyramid begins to glow. Its pale stone reflects the lowering sun in shades of amber and gold. The enormous structure appears softer now. Less harsh. Almost peaceful. The carrier pauses briefly while crossing an open area. For a moment he studies the monument. Not as a worker. Not as part of the construction. Simply as a man looking at something vast. The pyramid seems impossible. Yet every stone has been placed by human hands. Every section completed through patience and effort. Thousands of ordinary days have built it. Thousands more still lie ahead. The thought feels strangely comforting. Great things are often made from small actions repeated many times. One stone. One rope. One step. One jar of water. Again and again. The sun continues descending. The heat slowly loosens its grip. Workers begin discussing evening plans. Meals waiting at home. Children waiting at home. Rest waiting at home. The anticipation spreads quietly across the site. Not excitement. Simply relief. The carrier understands perfectly. His shoulders ache more with each passing hour. His feet feel tired. His hands feel rough. Yet he knows the evening is approaching. Soon the road home will fill with familiar faces. Soon cooking fires will glow across the village. Soon the Nile will reflect the colors of sunset. And for now, beneath the warm golden light of late afternoon, he continues carrying water across the dusty grounds of the pyramid, moving through another ordinary day in the ancient world, one careful step at a time. The golden light of late afternoon spreads slowly across the land. The pyramid casts a longer shadow now. Stone blocks that seemed almost white beneath the midday sun begin to glow with softer colors. Warm shades of amber and honey settle across the construction site. The harsh brightness of earlier hours fades little by little. The workers notice. Everyone notices. The day is beginning its slow turn toward evening. The water carrier continues along his route. The jars feel lighter than they did earlier. Not because they contain less water. Because the promise of rest has entered his thoughts. Even the body responds to that promise. A tired man can often walk a little farther when he knows home is waiting. The carrier passes a group of laborers gathering ropes at the base of a ramp. Their movements remain careful. No one wishes to rush now. After a full day of effort, accidents become more likely when fatigue grows heavy. The experienced workers understand this. Steady hands. Steady steps. Patience. These qualities matter more than speed. The carrier pauses to provide water. Several men drink deeply. One splashes a little water across the back of his neck. A few precious drops run down dusty skin. The relief shows immediately on his face. Then the man smiles and returns to work. Simple moments. Small comforts. Yet they mean much after a long day beneath the Egyptian sun. A warm breeze drifts across the site. The wind carries less heat now. The air feels softer, more forgiving. Dust still rises beneath countless sandals, but the afternoon has lost its sharp edge. The carrier breathes deeply. Far away he imagines he can almost smell the river. Perhaps it is real. Perhaps it is only memory. Either way, the thought brings comfort. The Nile always waits. No matter how difficult the day becomes, the river remains, flowing quietly through the heart of Egypt. The construction site continues its endless activity. Stone blocks move slowly across prepared paths. Workers organize tools. Supervisors inspect completed tasks. Scribes finish their records for the day. Everywhere, small efforts combine into something larger. The water carrier rarely thinks about the future appearance of the pyramid. His attention stays focused on immediate needs. The next crew. The next jar. The next trip. Yet sometimes, during quiet moments, he wonders. He wonders what future generations might think when they see the completed monument. Will they understand how many people worked here? Will they imagine the endless footsteps? The aching shoulders? The dust-covered faces? Perhaps not. Large structures often hide the countless ordinary lives that created them. Yet those lives exist all the same. The carrier knows this. Every worker knows this. The pyramid grows because of thousands of small efforts repeated every day. A carpenter shaping wood. A cook baking bread. A fisherman catching food. A laborer pulling rope. A water carrier lifting jars. No single task creates the monument. Together, however, they make it possible. The afternoon deepens. Shadows stretch farther across the ground. The heat continues fading. Workers speak more frequently now. Conversations drift through the air. Most discuss ordinary things. Family. Food. Village news. Weather. The subjects rarely change. And that is perfectly fine. Life itself is built from ordinary things. The carrier approaches a section where younger workers are cleaning stone surfaces. The men laugh quietly among themselves while they work. Their energy seems almost endless. Even after a full day beneath the sun, youth provides reserves of strength. The carrier remembers that feeling. Though the memory grows distant, his own body moves differently now. More carefully. More deliberately. Experience teaches economy of movement. Why waste effort when a slower pace achieves the same result? Age brings its own wisdom. The carrier reaches another group. These men are older. Faces lined by years of sunlight and labor. One worker rises slowly when it is time to return to work. His knees clearly trouble him. The carrier recognizes the familiar stiffness. They exchange a brief nod. No words. None are needed. Some experiences speak for themselves. The sun lowers further. Its light becomes richer. The desert begins to change. The endless golden landscape softens into deeper shades. Even the dust seems calmer. The carrier enjoys this part of the day. Many workers do. Evening feels generous. The world becomes quieter without becoming silent. The labor continues. Yet everything feels less demanding. Less urgent. The approach of night eases the burden. Nearby, a group of cooks prepares the evening meal for workers who remain later than others. The smell spreads through the air. Fresh bread. Warm grain. A hint of roasted fish. The scents drift across the construction site. Hungry workers notice immediately. Several smile. One man jokes softly about racing home before his children finish the best food. Laughter follows. Gentle laughter. Tired laughter. The kind that comes easily among people who have shared difficult work. The carrier smiles as he passes. These small exchanges help the hours move more smoothly. The ancient world is often remembered through kings and monuments. But most people spend their lives much differently. Most lives unfold through family meals, shared labor, neighborly conversations, children growing older, fields being planted, bread being baked. The carrier knows nothing of future history. He simply lives his days. Yet his life contains the same human moments that have existed across countless generations. The afternoon gradually becomes evening. The sun nears the horizon. Golden light washes across the face of the pyramid. For a few minutes, the monument seems almost to glow from within. The stone catches every color of the sky. Amber, copper, gold. The sight never becomes completely ordinary. Even workers who see it every day sometimes pause to look. Not for long. Just a moment. Then work resumes. The carrier delivers what may be his final jar of the day. The crew accepts the water gratefully. Faces appear tired now. Not exhausted beyond reason. Simply ready for rest. Ready for home. Ready for evening. The carrier feels the same. His shoulders ache deeply. His feet feel worn. The muscles along his back tighten whenever he bends. The body keeps a careful record of labor. Every task leaves its mark. Yet there is satisfaction as well. The quiet satisfaction of completing a day's responsibilities. Many workers carry that feeling home with them. Not pride exactly. Not celebration. Simply the knowledge that necessary work has been done. The sun finally touches the distant horizon. The sky begins changing colors. Soft orange. Pale rose. Fading gold. The construction site grows calmer. Tools are gathered. Materials organized. Tasks brought to a stopping point. The great rhythm of labor slows. Not ending completely. Never completely. But slowing enough for people to breathe more easily. Groups begin forming along the roads leading back toward the villages. The journey home is about to begin. The carrier sets down an empty jar. For a moment he rolls his shoulders. The relief feels wonderful. Nearby, other workers stretch tired muscles. Some sit briefly before starting the walk home. Others begin immediately. Everyone moves at their own pace. There is no rush now. The day has already been won. The carrier takes one final look across the construction grounds. The pyramid rises above everything. Quiet. Immense. Patient. Tomorrow it will still be there. Tomorrow the work will continue. Tomorrow new jars will be filled from the Nile. New footsteps will cross the dusty roads. New hours will pass beneath the sun. But those concerns belong to another sunrise. For now, the evening breeze grows cooler. The shadows grow longer. And the water carrier joins the steady stream of laborers beginning their journey home through the fading light of another peaceful day in ancient Egypt. The road home stretches before the workers like a familiar ribbon of dust and fading sunlight. The day's labor is behind them now. Not forgotten. Still resting heavily in tired muscles and aching joints. Yet the hardest hours have passed. The evening belongs to a different rhythm. A slower rhythm. A gentler rhythm. The water carrier walks among dozens of other laborers making their way back toward the villages scattered along the Nile. No one moves quickly. There is no reason to hurry. The sun has nearly disappeared beyond the western horizon, and the fierce heat that ruled the afternoon has finally loosened its grip upon the land. A cool breeze drifts across the road. The sensation feels wonderful against skin warmed by an entire day beneath the sky. The carrier lifts his face slightly toward the wind. For a brief moment he closes his eyes. The air smells different now. Less dust. More earth. More water. Even before reaching the river, the Nile announces its presence through the evening breeze. Around him, conversations drift softly between groups of workers. The voices rise and fall like the movement of distant water. One man speaks about repairing a fishing net. Another wonders whether tomorrow might be cooler. Several discuss family members waiting at home. The subjects are ordinary. They always are. Yet there is comfort in hearing them. Ordinary conversations remind people that life extends beyond labor. The pyramid may occupy the daylight hours, but evening belongs to homes, families, and villages. The carrier listens without speaking much. His energy is fading. Not unpleasantly. Simply naturally. The body knows when it is time to rest. The road gradually leaves the construction grounds behind. The Great Pyramid remains visible in the distance. Its enormous shape darkens against the colorful sky. For a while it seems to follow the workers as they walk. Then slowly it becomes smaller. Farther away. Less present. The carrier likes this part of the journey. The monument remains important. Yet he feels no sadness watching it recede into the distance. His thoughts are already turning toward home. Toward supper. Toward the familiar sounds waiting in the village. Toward the simple comfort of sitting beneath the evening sky after a day of labor. The landscape changes as they approach the fertile lands beside the Nile. The harsh desert gradually gives way to cultivated fields. Irrigation channels reflect the fading sunlight. Palm trees stand quietly against the horizon. The scent of growing plants mixes with the cool evening air. After hours surrounded by stone and dust, the sight of green fields feels soothing. Several farmers still work among the crops. Not many. Most are finishing their final tasks before darkness arrives. Their movements appear calm and unhurried. The pace of evening encourages patience. No one wishes to struggle against the coming night. Birds move across the sky overhead. Small groups fly toward resting places among reeds and trees. Their silhouettes pass briefly across the glowing horizon. The carrier watches them for a moment. Then continues walking. The sky becomes more beautiful with every passing minute. Soft orange near the horizon. Gentle shades of pink above it. Deepening blue farther overhead. The colors blend together quietly. No dramatic display. Only a gradual transformation. The ancient world seems to breathe more slowly at this hour. As the workers approach the river, the sounds begin to change. The desert road has its own voice. The Nile has another. Soon the carrier hears water moving softly against the banks. He hears reeds rustling in the breeze. He hears distant birds settling for the night. The sounds feel welcoming. Like familiar friends. The river reflects the colors of sunset. Its surface glows softly beneath the fading light. For a moment many of the workers slow their pace. Some stop briefly. Not because they are tired. Though they certainly are. But because the sight is peaceful. The Nile at evening possesses a quiet beauty difficult to ignore. A fisherman guides his boat toward shore. The vessel glides smoothly through calm water. Its reflection follows beneath it like a shadow. Nearby, another boat drifts gently while its owner gathers equipment for the night. The river never feels hurried. It follows its path with patient confidence. The carrier often admires that. The Nile never rushes. Yet it reaches everywhere it needs to go. The workers continue onward. Village lights begin appearing ahead. Small lamps flicker in doorways. Cooking fires glow softly against the growing darkness. Smoke rises into the evening sky. The sight creates an immediate feeling of comfort. Home. No grand monument can compete with that simple feeling. The carrier reaches the edge of the village as darkness begins settling over the land. The familiar paths between houses welcome him. Children play nearby. Their energy seems endless despite the fading day. A few chase one another between homes while parents call gentle reminders from nearby doorways. The carrier smiles. The sight brightens something inside him. Children bring movement and laughter wherever they go. Even tired villages feel more alive because of them. The smell of cooking fills the air. Fresh bread. Stewing vegetables. Fish roasting over small fires. The scents drip through every corner of the settlement. Hunger immediately awakens. The carrier had noticed food earlier at the worksite. Now the smells feel much closer. Much more personal. He passes neighbors returning from their own tasks. Greetings are exchanged. Simple words. Friendly nods. Nothing elaborate. Villages thrive through small connections. People know one another. Help one another. Share news. Share concerns. Share ordinary moments. The carrier reaches his home. The mud-brick walls still hold traces of warmth from the day. The doorway stands open to welcome cooler evening air. Inside, familiar voices greet him. The sound immediately softens the weariness resting in his chest. His youngest child rushes forward first. Small feet move quickly across the floor. The carrier bends carefully to offer an embrace. His back complains slightly. He laughs softly. The child notices none of it. Children rarely think about aching muscles or long work days. Their world feels wonderfully immediate. His wife looks up from preparing the evening meal. A warm smile appears. No grand words are exchanged. They do not need them. Years of shared life create understanding deeper than conversation. The carrier sets aside his belongings. The jars are empty now. Tomorrow they will be filled again. Tonight they rest. Just as he will soon rest. A small clay basin waits nearby. The carrier pours water over his hands. Dust runs away in thin streams. Then he washes his face. The coolness feels refreshing. Almost luxurious. The day slowly leaves him. Not entirely. The soreness remains. The fatigue remains. But the dust disappears. The transition from worker to husband and father begins. Outside, darkness deepens. Stars appear one by one overhead. The village settles into its evening routine. Some families gather for meals. Others finish chores. A few elderly neighbors sit outside enjoying the pleasant air before sleep. The pace of life becomes wonderfully slow. The carrier joins his family for supper. The meal is simple. Bread still warm from the fire. Vegetables prepared carefully. A small portion of fish. Nothing extravagant. Everything welcome. They eat together quietly. The children talk about small adventures from the day. One describes a bird seen near the river. Another proudly explains a task completed successfully. The carrier listens. Occasionally he smiles. Occasionally he asks a question. Mostly he enjoys hearing their voices. The sounds of family fill the room more completely than any feast. When the meal is finished, no one rushes to leave. The evening stretches comfortably before them. The day's labor has ended. Night has arrived. And beyond the walls of their humble home, the Nile flows quietly through the darkness while the stars gather above ancient Egypt, shining over workers, farmers, fishermen, and families alike. The evening settles gently over the village. Darkness now covers the fields beyond the houses, and the Nile moves through the night like a ribbon of black silk beneath the stars. The heat of the day has finally disappeared. Cool air drifts between the mud-brick homes, carrying with it the scents of earth, river water, and distant cooking fires that are slowly burning low. Inside the water carrier's home, the family remains gathered together. The meal has ended. The dishes have been cleared away. For the first time all day, there is nowhere urgent to be. No heavy jars waiting to be filled. No dusty road leading toward the pyramid. No supervisor calling instructions. No endless walking beneath the sun. Only the quiet comfort of evening. The carrier sits near the doorway. From here he can see a small piece of the night sky. Stars continue appearing overhead. Some shine brightly. Others seem faint and distant. Together they fill the darkness with countless points of light. The people of Egypt know these stars well. Night after night they appear above the river and desert. Generations grow up beneath them. Children learn their patterns. Old men watch them from doorways. Fishermen navigate by them. Travelers trust them. The stars feel permanent in a world where human lives pass quickly. The carrier's youngest child leans against him. The boy struggles to keep his eyes open. Sleep approaches quietly. The day has been long even for a child. Soon the boy's head grows heavy. His eyelids droop. The carrier smiles softly. Many evenings end this way. Children rarely notice when sleep begins to claim them. It arrives gently. Little by little. Like darkness spreading across the land. Outside, neighboring families continue their own routines. Voices drift through the village. Not loud voices. Only soft conversations carried by the night air. A woman speaks to her daughter. A man discusses tomorrow's work with a neighbor. Someone laughs quietly. Then silence returns. The sounds come and go like small ripples across calm water. The carrier listens. These familiar sounds reassure him. A peaceful village has its own music. Footsteps. Voices. Animals settling down for the night. The rustle of palm leaves. The distant whisper of the Nile. Together they create a feeling of safety. A feeling of belonging. The evening deepens. One by one, lamps begin disappearing from nearby homes. Families prepare for sleep. The village grows quieter. The carrier's wife finishes a few final tasks. Nothing complicated. Simple household routines that repeat every evening. A basket is moved. A container covered. A lamp adjusted. Small acts of care. Small acts that help a home feel orderly and comfortable. The carrier watches for a while. Then his attention drifts toward the doorway again. The stars seem brighter now. The sky stretches endlessly overhead. Far from the village, beyond the cultivated fields, beyond the riverbanks, the pyramid still stands in darkness. Its shape can no longer be seen clearly. Yet it remains there. Silent. Waiting. Tomorrow it will return to life with sunrise. Tomorrow workers will gather again. Tomorrow the familiar routine will begin once more. The carrier thinks about this only briefly. Night encourages different thoughts. The future feels less important now. Rest feels more important. The present moment feels enough. Nearby, a donkey shifts within its enclosure. The animal lets out a quiet sound before becoming still again. From somewhere near the river comes the call of a night bird. The sound echoes softly across the darkness, then fades. The world seems larger at night. The familiar landscape becomes mysterious beneath the stars. Fields disappear into shadow. Roads become difficult to see. The desert beyond the village turns into a vast darkness stretching toward distant horizons. Yet the villagers do not fear it. They know this land. They have lived beside it all their lives. The carrier rises slowly from his place near the doorway. His body reminds him of the day's labor immediately. The stiffness remains. The soreness remains. His shoulders feel heavy. His legs feel tired. Yet the discomfort no longer bothers him. The work is finished. Pain feels easier to bear when effort has ended. He steps outside for a few moments. Several neighbors still sit nearby enjoying the cool air. An elderly man rests on a low stool. A woman rocks a sleepy child. Two friends exchange quiet words before returning to their homes. No one wishes to break the peace of the evening. The carrier looks toward the Nile. Though hidden by darkness, its presence can still be felt. The air near the river always feels different. Cooler. Softer. More alive. He can hear the water faintly. A gentle sound. A patient sound. The Nile has flowed through every day of his life. Before he was born, it flowed. After he is gone, it will continue. The thought does not make him sad. It brings comfort. There is peace in knowing some things endure. The river endures. The stars endure. The cycles of planting and harvest endure. Life changes constantly, yet certain rhythms remain. After a few minutes, he returns inside. The family prepares for sleep. The youngest children are already resting. Their breathing has become slow and even. The older children settle onto woven mats. Soft conversation fades into silence. The small lamp flickers gently against the wall. Its flame dances whenever a breeze enters through the doorway. The carrier lies down beside his family. The woven mat feels welcome beneath his tired body. His muscles immediately begin relaxing. The simple comfort of rest can feel extraordinary after a long day of labor. He closes his eyes. Yet sleep does not arrive immediately. For a few moments he listens. The village has become very quiet now. Most people are asleep. The occasional sound still appears. A distant cough. A soft footstep. The rustle of wind. Then silence again. His breathing slows. The darkness feels calm around him. Outside, the stars continue their journey across the sky. Hours pass quietly. The village sleeps. The river flows. The desert cools beneath the night air. Far away, jackals move through the darkness beyond cultivated land. Birds rest among reeds. Fishing boats sit motionless along the banks. Everything seems suspended in peaceful stillness. The carrier drifts toward sleep. His thoughts become softer. Less clear. The concerns of tomorrow lose their sharp edges. There will be work again. There will always be work. But not tonight. Tonight belongs to rest. His breathing becomes deeper. Steadier. Soon he sleeps. The village sleeps with him. Across the Nile Valley, thousands of ordinary people rest beneath the same stars. Farmers, builders, potters, fishermen, servants, scribes. Families gathered within simple homes of mud, brick and straw. Their lives may never be carved into monuments. Their names may never appear in official records. Yet they fill the ancient world with quiet human warmth. And while the Great Pyramid waits silently beneath the moonlit sky, the water carrier sleeps peacefully beside his family, surrounded by the gentle darkness of another Egyptian night. The night moves quietly across the Nile Valley. Hours pass without hurry. The stars travel their slow paths above the sleeping land. Moonlight touches the river in scattered silver reflections. Palm trees stand motionless against the darkness. The warm noise of daytime has faded completely, replaced by the deep stillness that comes only in the middle of the night. The village sleeps. Inside mud brick homes, families rest close together. The water carrier sleeps among them. His breathing is steady. His tired muscles have finally released the strain of the day. The aches in his shoulders remain, but sleep softens them. For a few precious hours, labor has no hold on him. There are no jars to lift. No dusty roads. No endless trips between workers. Only darkness. Only rest. Outside, the Nile continues flowing northward beneath the stars. The river never stops. Its waters slip past villages, fields, reeds, and fishing boats with quiet patience. Generations come and go beside its banks. Children are born. Families grow older. Workers spend entire lives beneath the Egyptian sun. Yet the river remains constant. Night after night. Season after season. Year after year. As the hours pass, the air becomes cooler. The earth slowly releases the heat gathered during the day. The change is subtle. Yet every living thing feels it. Animals settle more deeply into sleep. Birds remain hidden among reeds and branches. Even the desert seems calmer beneath the cool darkness. The village remains silent. Then, very gradually, the first signs of morning begin to appear. Not in the sky. Not yet. The change begins in the sounds. A bird shifts somewhere near the river. A goat stirs inside its enclosure. A faint rustle moves through palm leaves as a breeze drifts across the settlement. The world is preparing to wake. The eastern horizon remains dark. Yet dawn is already on its way. The water carrier sleeps a little longer. The hours before sunrise are precious. Every worker values them. Rest is never wasted. The body gathers strength wherever it can. At last, a faint gray glow appears in the east. The stars nearest the horizon begin fading. Night slowly loosens its grip. The village remains mostly quiet. But not entirely. A few early risers are already awake. An elderly woman steps outside her home. A fisherman prepares for the river. Someone begins tending a small cooking fire. The day enters gently. Without hurry. Without noise. The water carrier opens his eyes. For a moment he lies still. The room remains dim. His family continues sleeping around him. The familiar outlines of baskets, jars, and woven mats emerge slowly from the darkness. Everything feels peaceful. The world has not fully awakened yet. These moments belong to silence. He listens. The faint crackle of a distant fire. The whisper of wind outside. The slow breathing of sleeping children. Such sounds are easy to overlook. Yet they form the quiet foundation of daily life. The carrier sits up carefully. Immediately he feels yesterday's labor waiting for him. His shoulders are stiff. His back aches. His legs feel heavy. The sensations are familiar. Almost expected. Years of work have taught him that the body remembers everything. Still, he rises. The day has begun. Outside, the sky brightens little by little. The eastern horizon glows pale silver. Birds begin singing among the reeds. The Nile reflects the changing light. The river seems almost awake before the people are. Its waters catch every color of dawn. Soft gray. Pale blue. Hints of gold. The carrier steps into the cool morning air. He pauses briefly. As he often does. The village feels different before sunrise. More spacious. More peaceful. The roads are empty. The fields are quiet. The desert beyond remains wrapped in shadow. For a few moments, the world belongs to stillness. He breathes deeply. The air feels clean. Fresh. The scent of damp earth drifts from nearby irrigation channels. Mixed with it comes the smell of straw, clay, and faint wood smoke. The combination feels comforting. These are the smells of home. The smells of ordinary life. Nearby, his wife begins preparing a simple morning meal. The sounds are gentle. A clay pot being moved. A basket opened. Bread arranged for breakfast. Nothing dramatic. Only familiar routines repeated day after day. The carrier appreciates these routines. They create structure. They create stability. In a world shaped by seasons and labor, familiar habits bring reassurance. Soon the children begin waking as well. Sleepy voices fill the house. Small feet cross the floor. The youngest child rubs tired eyes while trying to understand why morning arrives so quickly. The carrier smiles. Children seem surprised by sunrise every day. The family shares a simple breakfast. Bread. Water. Perhaps a few dates. Nothing extravagant. Yet enough to begin the day. The meal is quiet. Everyone is still waking. The sky outside grows brighter with each passing minute. Soon it will be time to leave. The carrier gathers his things. His sandals. His garment. The empty jars waiting to be filled. The familiar tools of his profession. The objects themselves are ordinary. Yet they shape his entire day. Outside, the village is fully awakening now. Doors open. People emerge. Animals are fed. Neighbors exchange greetings. The settlement slowly fills with movement. The carrier joins the flow of people heading toward their morning tasks. His destination, as always, is the river. The path feels familiar beneath his feet. He has walked it so many times that every turn seems woven into memory. The Nile appears ahead. Calm. Patient. Beautiful in the growing light. The carrier reaches the bank and kneels beside the water. Tiny ripples spread outward. The river is cool against his hands. Refreshing. Almost soothing. He begins filling the jars. One after another. The water swirls quietly inside each container. The task requires care. A cracked jar means wasted effort. A poorly balanced load means a difficult journey. Experience guides every movement. Nearby, fishermen prepare their boats. The sounds of wood against water drip through the morning air. A man untangles a net. Another checks a rope. The river supports many lives. Each person depends upon it differently. The carrier depends upon it as much as anyone. Without the Nile, his work could not exist. Without the Nile, Egypt itself would be a very different place. The jars gradually fill. Their weight increases. The familiar burden returns. The carrier lifts them carefully. The muscles in his shoulders tighten. The workday has officially begun. Around him, the sky turns gold. Sunlight spreads across the river. Birds rise from the reeds. The first true warmth of morning touches the land. The village behind him grows busier. The fields begin receiving workers. Paths fill with travelers. The entire world seems to awaken at once. The carrier starts walking. The road toward the pyramid stretches ahead. Already other workers move in the same direction. Some carry tools. Some carry supplies. Some walk with friends. Others walk quietly with their thoughts. Together they form a steady stream crossing the landscape. Another day. Another journey. Another chapter in the endless rhythm of labor and life beside the Nile. The pyramid waits in the distance, slowly emerging from the morning light. And with steady steps and heavy jars resting upon his shoulders, the water carrier begins once more the familiar path that has shaped so many days of his life. The morning road slowly fills with workers. From many villages they come, moving across the landscape in small groups and quiet lines. Some walk alone with their thoughts. Others travel beside friends they have known for years. Sandals press into the dusty ground. Soft voices drip through the cool air. The water carrier walks among them. The jars on his shoulders sway gently with each step. They are full now. Heavy. The weight settles across muscles that have carried similar burdens through countless mornings. At first, the air remains pleasant. The sun has only recently risen. Long shadows stretch across the earth. The desert still remembers the coolness of night. This early part of the journey is often the easiest. Workers breathe more comfortably. Conversations come more naturally. Energy has not yet been consumed by the demands of the day. The carrier listens as two men ahead discuss the coming flood season. Every year the Nile rises. Every year people watch the water carefully. Too little flooding can bring hardship. Too much can bring difficulties of another kind. The river provides life, yet it must always be respected. The men speak quietly. Not with worry. Simply with the practical attention that farmers have always given to weather and water. Nearby, another group discusses a wedding that will take place in a neighboring village. One man jokes that the celebration will provide more food than an entire month of ordinary meals. The others laugh softly. The sound carries briefly across the road. Then fades into the morning breeze. The water carrier smiles. Small celebrations are important. Life contains much labor. Moments of joy deserve their place as well. The journey continues. The landscape unfolds around them. Fields stretch beside irrigation channels. Palm trees sway gently. Birds move through the brightening sky. Beyond the cultivated land, the desert waits in silence. Its golden surface catches the early sunlight. The contrast between river and desert always feels remarkable. Life and dryness. Green and gold. Water and stone. Together they create the world the carrier has always known. As the sun rises higher, the Great Pyramid begins appearing more clearly in the distance. At first it is only a shape against the horizon. Then its details gradually emerge. The sloping sides. The unfinished sections. The movement of workers around its base. Every morning follows this pattern. The monument slowly grows larger as the workers approach. The carrier sometimes wonders whether newcomers feel intimidated by the sight. He remembers his own first days years ago. The pyramid had seemed impossibly large, almost beyond understanding. Now it feels different. Still impressive. Still enormous. Yet familiar. Like a mountain seen every day from a village. Its size remains unchanged, but familiarity softens the sense of wonder. The road grows busier as workers from other settlements join the flow. Dust rises beneath thousands of feet. The sound becomes constant. A dry whisper traveling across the landscape. Ahead, donkeys carry supplies toward the construction site. Bundles of materials sway gently on their backs. Their handlers walk patiently beside them. Nothing moves quickly. There is no need. The work ahead will last all day. Energy must be preserved. The carrier adjusts the position of his jars. The movement eases pressure on one shoulder. Only slightly. But small adjustments matter during long journeys. Experience teaches such things. A younger man might ignore discomfort until it becomes pain. An older worker learns to listen to the body. To make small corrections before larger problems appear. The sun continues climbing. The coolness of dawn begins fading. Workers remove extra coverings. The first signs of heat appear in the air. The carrier notices sweat forming along his forehead. Soon the entire landscape will feel different. The pleasant freshness of morning will give way to the demands of the day. For now, however, the journey remains comfortable. The Nile glimmers beside the road in certain places. Its waters catch the sunlight and scatter it across the surface like countless tiny stars. Several fishermen are already at work. Small boats drift near the banks. Nets disappear beneath the water. The carrier watches them briefly. Fishing is difficult work. Like all work. Yet it carries a different rhythm from life at the pyramid. Different sounds. Different challenges. Different rewards. Every profession shapes a person in its own way. The carrier's life has been shaped by walking. By lifting. By carrying. By following familiar paths between river and worker. The road gradually rises. The pyramid dominates more of the horizon now. The activity surrounding it becomes visible. Tiny figures move across the construction grounds. Even from a distance, signs of labor are everywhere. The project never truly rests. Each day adds something. A little progress. A few more stones. Another layer of effort. The carrier finds comfort in this. Not because he dreams of glory. He does not. But because steady work creates visible results. One day resembles another. Yet over years, great changes appear. The same is true of life itself. Children grow. Villages expand. Families change. The transformations happen slowly enough that people rarely notice them day by day. Only after many years does the full picture become clear. The workers continue forward. The conversations gradually fade. Attention shifts toward the tasks awaiting them. Minds begin preparing for labor. The peaceful road gives way to anticipation. Not dread. Simply readiness. The work is familiar. Everyone knows what lies ahead. The carrier reaches the outer areas of the construction site. Already the sounds are growing louder. Stone striking stone. Voices calling instructions. Wood creaking beneath weight. Footsteps crossing packed earth. The great rhythm of the pyramid is awakening. The carrier enters the busy grounds. Workers move in every direction. Some haul materials. Some organize tools. Some inspect completed sections. The morning sun shines brightly across the entire site. Fresh energy fills the air. The day is still young. The hardest hours remain ahead. The carrier begins immediately. There is no time for hesitation. Water is already needed. A group of laborers receives the first delivery. Several men drink eagerly. Their work has only just begun, yet they understand the importance of staying ahead of the heat. The carrier empties part of a jar. Then continues onward. The familiar rhythm returns. Walk. Pour. Return. Walk. Pour. Return. The pattern settles into place as naturally as breathing. Nearby, stone cutters begin their tasks. Small fragments scatter across the ground. The sound of tools creates a steady music throughout the site. Elsewhere, teams prepare ropes and sledges. Supervisors move among the workers. Scribes organize records beneath shaded shelters. Every part of the operation awakens together. The pyramid is not simply stone. It is people. Thousands of people. Each following a routine. Each contributing effort. Each carrying responsibilities. The water carrier passes through this world quietly. He is neither important nor unimportant. He is necessary. Like many others, his role fits into the larger pattern. Without water, the labor becomes harder. Without labor, the monument cannot rise. Every task connects to another. The sun continues climbing higher. The shadows shorten. Morning begins its gradual transformation toward midday. The carrier feels the familiar weight of the jars against his shoulders. The familiar dust beneath his sandals. The familiar warmth spreading across the land. Another day has begun beside the pyramid. Another day of walking, lifting, carrying, and providing. And beneath the bright Egyptian sky, surrounded by stone, sunlight, and the quiet determination of countless workers, the water carrier continues his steady journey through the ordinary hours that help build extraordinary things. The morning advances slowly across the pyramid grounds. The cool freshness that greeted the workers at dawn has now faded into memory. Sunlight spreads across every stone surface. The shadows grow shorter with each passing hour. Dust rises steadily beneath countless feet moving through the vast construction site. The water carrier continues his work. His route winds through a world of constant motion. Workers pull sledges. Stone cutters shape blocks. Supervisors move between crews. Scribes sit beneath shelters recording deliveries and supplies. Everywhere, people are busy. Everywhere, effort is being transformed into progress. The carrier walks carefully between them. The jars sway gently against his shoulders. Water shifts inside with every step. The sound is soft, almost soothing. A quiet reminder of the Nile traveling with him wherever he goes. He reaches a crew preparing a newly delivered block of limestone. The stone rests upon a wooden sledge. Several men stand nearby waiting for instructions. Their faces already shine with sweat despite the early hour. The carrier pauses. Cups are filled. Water is shared. The men drink gratefully. One closes his eyes for a moment while swallowing. The simple act of drinking becomes a brief moment of relief. Then the work resumes. The carrier moves on. His path takes him past storage areas where stacks of stone wait patiently beneath the sun. Some blocks are rough and unfinished. Others have already been shaped with great care. The rows seem endless. Stone beside stone. Block beside block. Each one destined for a place within the growing monument. The carrier rarely thinks about individual stones. There are too many. Yet sometimes he wonders where they will eventually rest. Near the base? Higher above? Perhaps somewhere future generations will never see. The thought drifts through his mind and then disappears. There is little time for reflection during work. Another crew is waiting. And then another. And another beyond that. The rhythm continues. As the sun climbs higher, the sounds of the construction site seem to blend together into one great steady hum. Stone striking stone. Voices calling across open spaces. Ropes tightening. Wood scraping against earth. Footsteps. Breathing. Movement. The carrier has heard these sounds for so many years that they barely register anymore. They form the background of his life. As familiar as birds singing near the river. As familiar as wind moving through palm leaves. He passes a shelter where several scribes work. The shade protects them from the growing heat. Even so, they look uncomfortable. The Egyptian sun shows little favoritism. Whether a person lifts stone or records information, the heat reaches everyone. One of the scribes pauses to wipe sweat from his forehead. The carrier notices. Then continues onward. Everyone has difficult days. The forms simply differ. Nearby, a young worker struggles with a load that seems slightly too heavy. An older laborer notices immediately. Without a word, he steps forward to help. Together they manage the task. Then they continue with their work. The exchange lasts only seconds. Yet it remains in the carrier's thoughts. Such moments happen often. The pyramid requires cooperation. One person alone can accomplish little. Many people working together can accomplish astonishing things. The carrier understands this well. Every cup of water he delivers becomes part of someone else's effort. Every jar supports dozens of workers. The connections are invisible. Yet they are real. The morning heat continues growing. Workers speak less now. Energy is becoming more valuable. Most conversations become brief. Practical. Focused. The carrier welcomes the silence. Not because he dislikes people. Quite the opposite. But silence feels comfortable. The steady rhythm of labor leaves room for quiet thoughts. As he walks, he thinks about his family. His youngest child had fallen asleep during supper the previous evening. The image makes him smile. Children possess a wonderful ability to surrender completely to sleep. Adults rarely do. Adults carry worries, responsibilities, plans. The carrier knows that tonight, after another long day, he too will welcome sleep. The thought feels pleasant. Ahead, a group of workers prepares a ramp for additional stone deliveries. The task requires patience. The surface must remain smooth and stable. Any problem could create difficulties later. The men work carefully. Dust covers their feet and legs. The carrier provides water before moving on. One worker thanks him quietly. The carrier nods. No lengthy exchange follows. The day is too warm for unnecessary words. The sun now stands noticeably higher. The light has become brighter. Whiter. The gentle gold of early morning has disappeared. The true heat of the day approaches. Workers can feel it. The carrier can feel it. The land itself seems to anticipate it. He reaches an open area between work zones. For a moment, the full scale of the pyramid becomes visible before him. The structure rises above everything. Massive. Silent. Steady. Workers appear tiny against its sides. Like ants moving around a fallen tree. The carrier pauses briefly. Only a few seconds. Then continues walking. The monument remains impressive. Yet familiarity has changed his relationship with it. He does not stare in wonder. He simply acknowledges its presence. Like the Nile. Like the desert. Like the sky. Some things become permanent features of life. Nearby, cooks begin preparing food for the midday meal. The scent reaches the carrier before he sees the cooking area. Bread. Grain. Perhaps onions. Simple smells. Comforting smells. Workers notice immediately. Hunger begins stirring throughout the site. The carrier feels it too. Breakfast now feels distant. The body has already spent much of its morning energy. Food will be welcome when the time arrives. Until then, there is work to do. The carrier refills another distribution area. Then another. The routine never stops completely. Even when one task ends, another waits nearby. Yet there is something strangely peaceful about this. The day unfolds according to patterns everyone understands. No surprises. No confusion. Only the steady flow of labor. Many people find comfort in routine. The carrier certainly does. Routine creates predictability. Predictability creates calm. The world may be large and uncertain. Yet today's responsibilities remain clear. Carry water. Help workers. Return home. Rest. Then begin again tomorrow. The simplicity feels reassuring. A warm breeze drifts across the construction site. For a moment it cools the carrier's face. Then it passes. The heat returns immediately. Still, even brief relief is appreciated. Workers learn to value small comforts. A cool breeze. A drink of water. A patch of shade. A kind word. Simple things become important beneath the Egyptian sun. The morning continues. The carrier's sandals leave familiar tracks in the dust. The jars grow lighter. Then heavier after refilling. Then lighter again. The cycle repeats. His muscles move almost automatically now. Years of experience guide every action. The work requires effort. Yet it also requires rhythm. Without rhythm, exhaustion arrives more quickly. The carrier has learned how to pace himself. How to preserve energy. How to endure. These skills are not taught in lessons. They are learned through seasons. Through years. Through countless ordinary days. Above him, the sun climbs steadily toward midday. The heat grows stronger. The construction site continues its endless activity. And among the thousands of workers moving beneath the bright Egyptian sky, the water carrier follows his familiar path, carrying the cool gift of the Nile from crew to crew as another morning slowly unfolds beside the rising pyramid. The approach of midday can be felt long before it arrives. The workers do not need a shadow or a sundial to tell them. Their bodies know. The air grows heavier. The sunlight becomes more direct. The stone beneath their hands feels warmer with every passing hour. Even the dust seems slower as it drifts across the construction grounds. The water carrier feels it too. His shoulders ache beneath the familiar weight of the jars. His sandals are coated with a fine layer of pale dust. Sweat gathers along his brow and disappears just as quickly beneath the dry Egyptian air. Still he walks. Steady. Patient. Unhurried. The work site stretches around him like a small city. Everywhere people are moving. Everywhere tasks are being completed. Some workers pull sledges carrying stone. Others smooth surfaces or organize supplies. Cooks tend fires. Scribes keep records. Tool makers repair equipment. The pyramid rises because thousands of small duties meet together each day. The carrier understands this truth deeply. His own task seems simple. Yet simplicity does not mean unimportance. Without water, every other task becomes harder. Without water, the heat gains power over the workers. Without water, the rhythm of labor begins to break apart. So he continues. One crew after another. One jar after another. One journey after another. The repetition feels almost peaceful. There is something comforting about knowing exactly what needs to be done. The carrier does not spend his days making difficult decisions. The path is clear. Water must be delivered. Workers must be supported. The jars must be filled again. Many people spend their lives searching for certainty. The carrier's work provides it. The certainty is not glamorous, but it is real. A group of stone haulers pauses beside a ramp. Their task has been difficult this morning. The signs are easy to see. Dust clings heavily to their clothing. Their breathing is deeper than usual. Several stretch tired shoulders while waiting. The carrier arrives. The mood changes immediately. Cups appear. Hands reach forward. Water is shared. The men drink slowly. No one rushes. Everyone understands the value of each drop. One worker closes his eyes while drinking. For a brief moment, he seems entirely at peace. The carrier notices. Then continues walking. Such moments happen many times each day. Small moments of relief. Small moments of gratitude. The sun climbs higher. The sky remains perfectly clear. Clouds are rare visitors here. Most days unfold beneath an endless blue ceiling stretching from horizon to horizon. The carrier glances upward occasionally. The vastness always feels calming. The same sky covers the villages, the fields, the river, the desert, the pyramid. Everything exists beneath its quiet watch. A warm breeze crosses the sight. It carries the scent of limestone dust and dry earth. Yet beneath those smells lies something else. The smell of baking bread. The cooks have been busy. The midday meal is drawing closer. Workers begin noticing. Some smile faintly. Others simply continue their labor with renewed determination. Food provides more than nourishment. It offers a pause. A chance to sit. A chance to rest. A chance to allow tired muscles a few moments of peace. The carrier looks forward to it as well. He rarely thinks far into the future. The next season. The next year. Those things seem distant. But a meal waiting in the near future feels wonderfully real. The construction grounds remain active. A team of carpenters repairs a damaged section of equipment. Their tools create a different sound from the stone workers. Softer. Rhythmic. Nearby, a group of younger laborers organizes supplies. The carrier notices one man humming quietly while he works. The melody is simple. Almost lost beneath the sounds of labor. Yet it adds warmth to the moment. People often bring small pieces of themselves into their work. A song. A joke. A story shared during rest. These things help the hours pass. The carrier himself rarely sings. His thoughts usually remain quiet. But he appreciates hearing others do so. The pyramid site contains many different personalities. Many different lives. The structure may unite them. Yet each person remains unique. Each carries private memories and hopes. Each returns to a different home at night. The carrier reaches a shaded storage area and pauses briefly. Only for a moment. Long enough to lower a jar and stretch his back. The relief feels wonderful. His muscles loosen slightly. Nearby, another worker sits with his eyes closed. Not asleep. Simply resting. The carrier understands. The body often asks for small pauses before it asks for larger ones. Ignoring those requests rarely ends well. After a few moments, he lifts the jar again. The weight settles onto familiar places. His shoulders accept the burden without complaint. Years of labor have strengthened them. Not enough to make the work easy, but enough to make it possible. The heat continues growing. Midday approaches. The brightness becomes intense. Stone surfaces seem to glow beneath the sun. Workers seek every available patch of shade whenever their duties allow. Even a narrow strip of shadow feels valuable. The carrier passes a shelter where several scribes sit working. Their tasks require concentration. Their fingers move carefully across writing surfaces. The carrier wonders briefly what it would be like to spend a day recording information instead of carrying water. Then the thought passes. Every profession has its own difficulties. Every task carries its own burdens. The world depends upon all of them. The sounds of cooking become more noticeable. Voices drift from the meal area. Workers glance in that direction more frequently now. The carrier smiles. The entire site seems aware that rest is approaching. Not yet. But soon. Very soon. The anticipation creates a subtle change in mood. The morning's labor feels easier to endure when a break waits ahead. The carrier delivers water to another crew. Then another. The jars grow lighter. Soon they will need refilling again. The cycle continues. Always continuing. The repetition no longer feels tedious. It feels natural. Like the river flowing. Like the sun rising. Like evening following afternoon. Some things are simply part of life. As the final portion of the morning unfolds, the carrier notices the changing quality of light. The sun now stands almost directly overhead. The shadows beneath workers become short and dark. The entire landscape seems suspended in brightness. This is the hour when the Egyptian sun rules most completely. The hour when water becomes especially precious. The hour when every worker feels the weight of the day. Yet the carrier remains calm. He has lived through thousands of such mornings. He knows what comes next. The meal. The shade. The brief rest. The chance to sit quietly among fellow workers and allow the body to recover. Until then, he continues walking through the dust and sunlight, carrying the cool waters of the Nile across the great construction grounds while the pyramid rises patiently above them all, stone by stone, day by day, beneath the endless sky of ancient Egypt. At last, midday arrives. The sun stands high above the pyramid. Its light falls almost straight down upon the construction grounds, leaving only the smallest shadows beneath workers, tools, and stone blocks. The brightness seems to fill every corner of the world. For hours the workers have endured the growing heat. Now they feel it fully. The air shimmers above the desert. The stone radiates warmth. Even the distant horizon appears softened by waves of heat rising from the earth. The water carrier continues his rounds. The demand for water is greatest during these hours. Workers drink more frequently. Crews call for additional jars. The need never disappears. If anything, it grows stronger. The carrier walks carefully between groups of laborers. His pace remains steady. Experience has taught him not to fight the heat. The sun always wins such battles. Instead, he works with patience. One step, then another. Saving strength. Preserving energy. Allowing the day to unfold at its own pace. A team of stone haulers waits beside a ramp. Their faces are red from effort. Sweat darkens their clothing. The carrier approaches. Immediately the men gather around. Water is poured into cups. Hands grip the vessels gratefully. The first drinks disappear quickly. A second round follows. No one wastes a drop. The Nile may provide abundance, but carrying its water across the worksite requires effort. Everyone understands this. One worker offers a quiet word of thanks. The carrier nods. Then continues onward. The work never pauses for long. Nearby, the smell of food grows stronger. The cooks have been busy all morning. Bread has been baked. Grain prepared. Vegetables arranged. Simple meals. Yet to hungry workers, the scent feels almost irresistible. The carrier notices men glancing toward the cooking areas. He smiles. Everyone is waiting. Even those who pretend otherwise. The meal break has not yet begun. But it is close. Very close. The entire site seems aware of it. The heat encourages thoughts of shade. The smell of bread encourages thoughts of rest. The carrier feels the same anticipation. His shoulders are tired. His back aches. A few moments sitting quietly beneath shelter would be welcome. The sun remains relentless. The brightness washes across the construction grounds. Dust clings to exposed skin. Workers narrow their eyes against the glare. Even conversation has become quieter. Words require effort. Effort is precious. Many choose silence instead. The carrier appreciates that silence. The sounds of work continue around him. Stone tapping. Ropes creaking. Footsteps crossing packed earth. Yet beneath those sounds lies a calm rhythm. The site feels busy. But not chaotic. Everyone knows their place. Everyone knows what needs to be done. The order creates a strange kind of peace. A peace built from routine. The carrier reaches another distribution area. Several jars stand waiting beneath a simple shelter. Workers gather there throughout the day. He checks the supplies. Refills what is needed. Makes small adjustments. These tasks may seem minor. Yet they matter. A forgotten jar can create difficulty later. Experience teaches attention to details. The carrier has learned to notice small things. A crack forming in pottery. A rope beginning to fray. A worker showing signs of exhaustion. Years of observation have sharpened his awareness. The sun continues its slow journey. Though difficult to see, it has already begun moving westward. Midday never lasts forever. Nothing does. The carrier finds comfort in that thought. Heat passes. Fatigue passes. Difficult days pass. Everything moves forward. The Nile flows. The seasons change. The stars cross the sky. Life continues. At last, a signal spreads through the construction grounds. The midday meal has arrived. The change is subtle at first. Workers begin setting aside tools. Small groups form naturally. Conversations return. Movement shifts toward shaded areas. Relief spreads quietly across the site. The carrier feels it immediately. His body seems to relax before he even sits down. He carries one final jar to a nearby crew. Then places it carefully in position. The task complete, he begins walking toward a familiar shelter. Several workers are already there. Men he has known for many years. Faces weathered by labor. Faces shaped by sun and dust and time. They make room as he approaches. No words are needed. The group has shared countless meals together. The carrier lowers himself onto the ground. Slowly. Carefully. His knees protest. His back feels stiff. His shoulders seem grateful for the absence of weight. For a few moments he simply sits. Breathing. Resting. Allowing his body to settle. The shade feels wonderful. Thin though it may be, it offers protection from the blazing sky above. Nearby, workers unwrap simple meals. Bread. Onions. Fish. Dates. Food that has sustained generations. The carrier receives his portion. Nothing elaborate. Nothing luxurious. Yet after a morning of labor, it appears perfect. He eats slowly. There is no need to rush. The meal break belongs to calm. To recovery. To conversation. Around him, workers speak quietly. One discusses repairs needed on his house. Another shares news from a neighboring village. Someone mentions a recent birth. Someone else speaks about an aging parent. Ordinary topics. The topics of ordinary lives. The carrier listens while eating. Sometimes he contributes. Sometimes he simply enjoys hearing the voices. The conversations create warmth beyond the food itself. Community matters. Shared labor creates bonds. People who work together day after day become familiar in ways difficult to explain. The carrier looks around the shelter. Faces young and old. Some he remembers from many years ago. Others arrived more recently. The generations overlap here. Experienced workers teaching newcomers. Older men sharing advice. Younger men providing strength. The cycle continues. Just as it always has. Outside the shelter, the pyramid rises into the bright sky. Even during rest, it remains present. A silent companion watching over the construction grounds. The carrier studies it briefly while chewing a piece of bread. The monument appears unchanged from this distance. Yet he knows better. Every day leaves its mark. Progress happens slowly. So slowly that it can seem invisible. Then one day, years later, the change becomes impossible to ignore. The same is true of people. Children grow little by little. Villages expand little by little. Lives unfold little by little. Time rarely announces itself. It simply moves forward. The meal continues. A breeze drifts through the shelter. Cool enough to be noticed. Several workers smile. One closes his eyes for a moment. The carrier does the same. The sensation feels wonderful. The air carries faint traces of the Nile. A reminder that the river remains nearby. Always nearby. Providing life to everything around it. For a few precious moments, the world feels very still. The workers eat. The breeze moves gently. The pyramid waits beneath the sun. And the water carrier enjoys the quiet comfort of rest, surrounded by fellow laborers in the heart of ancient Egypt, while the long afternoon waits patiently just beyond the shade. The shade feels especially precious after the long morning. For a little while, the workers remain seated beneath shelters scattered across the construction grounds. The meal has slowed their movements. Full stomachs and tired muscles encourage stillness. The relentless sun continues shining overhead, but here, within the narrow strips of shadow, life moves more gently. The water carrier leans back against a rough support post. His meal is finished. Only a few crumbs remain. Nearby, other workers continue eating at their own pace. Some talk quietly. Others sit in comfortable silence. No one seems eager to return to labor immediately. The body understands the value of rest. The carrier listens to the conversations drifting around him. One worker speaks about his daughter learning to weave. Another describes repairs needed on an irrigation channel near his village. A third mentions a cousin who recently joined the workforce at the pyramid. The stories are simple. Yet they paint a picture of life beyond the construction site. Life continues in homes and fields while the pyramid rises. Children grow. Families celebrate. Farmers tend crops. Fishermen cast nets. The monument may seem enormous, but it exists within a much larger world. The carrier enjoys hearing these small pieces of other lives. They remind him that everyone carries responsibilities beyond their work. Everyone returns home each evening to a different story. A breeze passes through the shelter. It is stronger than the earlier one. The workers notice immediately. Several close their eyes for a moment. The moving air cools sweat-damp skin. Dust settles briefly. Even the simplest comfort feels valuable beneath the midday sun. The carrier turns his face toward the breeze. He can almost imagine standing beside the river. Almost. The feeling passes quickly. Yet it leaves behind a sense of calm. Outside the shelter, sunlight floods the construction grounds. The brightness is almost startling after sitting in shade. Stone surfaces gleam. The unfinished pyramid rises into the cloudless sky. Workers resting beneath nearby shelters appear small against its massive presence. The carrier studies the structure quietly. Not with awe. Not exactly. After so many years, awe has softened into familiarity. Yet respect remains. The monument represents countless days like this one. Countless meals. Countless footsteps. Countless acts of effort. He wonders how many people have already contributed their labor to its construction. Hundreds. Thousands. Perhaps far more. The number is impossible to know. Each person brings only a small part. Yet together they create something extraordinary. The thought lingers for a moment. Then drifts away. The carrier has learned not to spend too much time on large questions. Daily life offers enough practical concerns. His thoughts return instead to home. To his family. To the evening meal that waits many hours ahead. He imagines his children moving through their own day. Perhaps helping with chores. Perhaps playing near the village. Perhaps watching boats along the Nile. The images bring a quiet warmth. Work feels easier when loved ones wait at the end of it. Around the shelter, the conversations gradually fade. Some workers stretch out briefly on the ground. Others lean against support beams. A few simply sit with eyes closed. Not sleeping. Only resting. The carrier does the same. His eyes close. The sounds of the work site become distant. Not absent. Just softened. A hammer strikes stone somewhere far away. Voices drift across the heat. A donkey calls from the supply area. The sounds blend together. Gentle. Familiar. For several minutes, he allows himself to do nothing at all. No lifting. No walking. No carrying. Only breathing. Only resting. The body welcomes the pause. His shoulders loosen. The tightness in his back eases slightly. The weariness remains, but it becomes easier to bear. This is why the midday meal matters. Not only because of food, because of stillness, because of recovery, because labor cannot continue endlessly without rest. Even the strongest worker requires moments of peace. Eventually movement returns to the shelters. The break is not over yet. But people begin preparing themselves. A few stand and stretch. Others gather containers and tools. The afternoon approaches. Slowly. Steadily. Inevitably. The carrier opens his eyes. For a moment he watches dust drifting through a beam of sunlight near the shelter's edge. Tiny particles floating in warm air. The sight is strangely beautiful. Simple things often are. The ancient world contains many such moments. A bird crossing the sky. Sunlight on water. Bread baking over a fire. Dust turning gold in the light. The carrier has learned to notice them. Life feels richer when small beauties are not ignored. A nearby worker begins telling a story from his childhood. Several others listen. The story concerns a flood season many years ago. The river rose higher than expected. Fields disappeared beneath water. Boats traveled where roads normally existed. The details grow softer as the man speaks. The carrier has heard similar stories before. Every generation remembers unusual floods. The Nile shapes memory as much as it shapes the land. The story ends with laughter. The workers smile. Then silence returns. Comfortable silence. The best kind. Above them, the sun has begun its slow descent. The change is subtle. Almost impossible to notice moment by moment. Yet the light feels slightly different now. The day has passed its highest point. The long afternoon lies ahead. The carrier knows what it will bring. More walking. More water deliveries. More dust. More heat. The same familiar rhythm that has carried him through countless days. Strangely, the thought does not discourage him. Routine creates its own kind of comfort. The path is known. The responsibilities are known. Nothing unexpected waits. Only work. Then evening. Then home. At last, workers begin rising in greater numbers. The break is ending. Bodies move slowly at first. Muscles stiffen during rest. A few moments are needed before labor feels natural again. The carrier stands carefully. His knees remind him of his age. His shoulders remind him of his profession. He stretches gently. Then bends to lift one of the empty jars waiting nearby. The familiar weight settles against him. Soon it will be heavier. Soon it will carry fresh water once again. Nearby, other workers prepare to return to their tasks. Conversations fade. Tools are gathered. The quiet mood of rest gradually gives way to the steady rhythm of labor. The transition feels natural. Like the turning of a season. Like sunrise becoming morning. Like morning becoming afternoon. The carrier steps from the shelter. The sunlight greets him immediately. Bright. Warm. Unavoidable. He squints briefly. Then begins walking. The pyramid rises before him. The worksite awakens once more. And beneath the vast Egyptian sky, while the afternoon slowly unfolds across stone and sand, the water carrier returns to his familiar path, carrying with him the strength gathered during a brief and welcome hour of rest. The afternoon begins slowly. For a little while after the midday meal, the construction site feels quieter than usual. Workers return to their duties with measured steps. Muscles that rested beneath shade must find their rhythm again. Bodies that enjoyed stillness must once more accept effort. The water carrier understands this feeling well. The first few moments after rest are often the most difficult. The body remembers comfort. It resists returning to labor. Yet routine eventually takes over. It always does. The carrier walks toward the river access area where fresh supplies of water are being gathered. The sunlight remains strong, but the quality of the day has changed slightly. The fierce climb toward midday is over. Now the sun has begun its gradual journey westward. The heat remains. The brightness remains. Yet somewhere deep within the afternoon lies the promise of evening. Workers sense it even if they do not think about it directly. The day is moving forward. 1 hour at a time. One step at a time. The carrier reaches a storage area filled with clay jars. Some stand empty. Others have already been filled and sealed. The sight is familiar. For years these jars have been part of his daily life. He notices small differences between them. A slight curve here. A repaired crack there. The marks left by the potters who shaped them. No two are exactly alike. Like people, each carries its own history. The carrier lifts a newly filled jar. The weight settles across his shoulders. The muscles in his arms tighten automatically. His body knows this work so well that it requires little thought. Lift. Balance. Walk. The movements have become part of him. Nearby, another water carrier prepares for his own rounds. The two exchange a nod. Nothing more. There is companionship in shared labor. Not every friendship requires conversation. Sometimes understanding is enough. The afternoon air shimmers above the ground. Heat rises from stone surfaces. The distant edges of the construction site appear slightly blurred. The carrier begins his route. Workers are already waiting. A group of stone cutters pauses as he approaches. Their faces are coated with fine white dust. The powder settles into their hair, onto their clothing, across their hands. The carrier pours water into waiting cups. The men drink gratefully. One splashes a small amount across his forehead. The coolness lasts only moments. Yet the relief is immediate. The carrier moves on. The rhythm returns. One crew. Then another. Then another. The work site stretches endlessly before him. A network of paths and tasks and people. Everywhere, labor continues. Everywhere, lives intersect briefly before moving apart again. The carrier passes a team repairing a damaged sledge. Several carpenters work carefully in the shade of a temporary shelter. Wood shavings lie scattered across the ground. The scent of freshly cut timber drifts through the air. It is different from the smells that usually dominate the site. Different from dust. Different from stone. Different from sweat. The carrier pauses briefly to provide water. One carpenter thanks him with a smile. Then returns to his task. The afternoon settles into its familiar pace. The hours after the midday meal often feel longer than the morning. Perhaps because the body is already tired. Perhaps because evening still seems distant. Whatever the reason, workers learn patience during these hours. The carrier has learned it well. Patience makes difficult days easier. Patience turns large tasks into smaller ones. Patience transforms long journeys into a series of manageable steps. The carrier rarely thinks about finishing the entire day. Instead he thinks about reaching the next crew. Then the next. Then the next. Small goals feel lighter. The pyramid rises above everything. Its massive form catches the sunlight. From certain angles, the unfinished sections reveal the work still ahead. From other angles, it appears almost complete. The carrier knows appearances can be misleading. Every stone represents effort. Every layer represents years. Large achievements are built slowly. One ordinary day at a time. A warm wind sweeps across the site. Dust dances through the air. Loose cloth flutters. Workers pause briefly before continuing. The carrier welcomes the movement of air. Even warm wind feels better than stillness. The breeze carries faint scents from distant fields. A reminder that life beyond the construction grounds continues. Farmers tend crops. Fishermen cast nets. Children play beside village homes. The pyramid occupies many lives. Yet it does not occupy all of Egypt. The world remains larger than any monument. The carrier likes that thought. It helps maintain perspective. Nearby, a young worker struggles to lift a heavy tool chest. An older laborer notices. Together they move it. The exchange lasts only moments. Then both return to their tasks. The carrier sees such acts often. Most are small. Most go unnoticed. Yet they matter. Communities are built from countless small kindnesses. Work becomes easier when burdens are shared. The afternoon sun continues its slow journey. The shadows, nearly invisible at midday, begin lengthening again. Only slightly at first. Barely enough to notice. But the change is there. Time moves forward. The carrier feels encouraged by the sight. Evening remains far away. Yet it is coming. It always comes. He remembers similar afternoons from years past. Hundreds of them. Perhaps thousands. Some details have faded. Specific faces. Specific conversations. Specific days. Yet the feeling remains. The rhythm remains. The steady pattern of work and rest and home. Life often appears simple when viewed from a distance. Yet within that simplicity exists great depth. The carrier's days may resemble one another. Still, no two are identical. A different breeze. A different conversation. A different color in the evening sky. Small changes give texture to ordinary life. The carrier continues walking. The jars grow lighter. Soon they will require refilling. The cycle repeats endlessly. Yet he does not resent it. The repetition feels natural. Like waves touching a riverbank. Like birds returning to familiar nests. Some routines become part of a person's identity. This routine has become part of his. Workers greet him as he passes. Some by name. Others with a nod. Most have seen him countless times. The water carrier belongs to the landscape of the worksite as surely as the ramps and sledges. His presence feels expected. Comforting. Reliable. The afternoon moves forward. The heat remains strong. The labor continues. The pyramid waits patiently above it all. And beneath the bright sky of ancient Egypt, while dust drifts through warm air and thousands of workers continue their tasks, the water carrier follows his familiar route once more, carrying the cool gift of the Nile through another long and peaceful afternoon. Now the afternoon has faded. The long day of labor has gently come to rest. The sun has slipped beyond the western horizon, leaving behind only soft colors across the sky. The workers have returned to their villages. The stone ramps stand quiet. The tools have been set aside. Dust slowly settles over the paths that only hours ago were filled with footsteps. The water carrier has made his final journey of the day. The jars rest empty beside the walls of his home. His shoulders are tired. His hands are worn. His feet carry the memory of many miles walked beneath the Egyptian sun. Yet tonight, as on countless nights before, work is finished. The evening meal has been shared. The children have grown sleepy. The lamps burn softly. Outside, the village settles into silence. The Nile flows quietly through the darkness. Its waters move beneath the stars exactly as they did yesterday, and exactly as they will tomorrow. Boats rest along the shore. Palm trees sway gently in the cool night breeze. Far beyond the fields, the pyramid stands beneath the moonlight. Silent. Patient. Unmoving. Future generations may remember the monument. They may admire its size. They may wonder how it was built. But tonight, we remember someone else. A man whose name has long been forgotten. A water carrier. An ordinary worker. A person who rose before sunrise, walked dusty roads, carried heavy jars, and returned home each evening to the warmth of family. His life was not filled with glory. It was filled with routine. With effort. With responsibility. With simple moments of kindness and rest. And perhaps that is why his story feels so human. Because most lives are built not from grand events, but from ordinary days. A shared meal. A familiar path. The comfort of home after labor. The quiet promise that tomorrow will begin again. The stars continue shining above ancient Egypt. Their light reflects softly upon the Nile. The villages sleep. The fields rest. The desert cools beneath the night sky. And within a humble mud brick home beside the river, the water carrier closes his eyes. The sounds of the world grow distant. The worries of the day drift away. His breathing becomes slow. Steady. Peaceful. Outside, the river whispers through the darkness. A gentle sound. An endless sound. A sound that has carried countless generations into sleep. The night grows deeper. The stars move silently overhead. The pyramid watches from afar. And little by little, everything becomes still. Quiet. Calm. Peaceful. Until there is only the soft flow of the Nile beneath the ancient sky. And the comforting silence of another Egyptian night. Crescent moon.